everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, celebrity brand strategist for entrepreneurs who are ready to make their mark and make their money. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You're in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And today we're continuing our series on the intersection of art and entrepreneurship. And I am so excited to have my special guest here today, Melina Cortes-Nmili. Melina is an international fashion designer and the owner of the Boston-based design studio, Lalla Bee. Melina's road to fashion and entrepreneurship has been anything but conventional. Born and bred in the vibrant Dominican Republic countryside, Melina embraces the diversity of colors, textures, and patterns of her childhood. Like the self-made women who raised Melina, Lalla Bee's dresses tell the story of strength, effortless beauty, and unwavering confidence. Rather than following the latest trends in fashion, Melina's designs are intentionally timeless. Her designs are ethically made from quality fabrics sourced directly from the finest factories across the United States and Europe. Thank you so much for being here, Melina.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love reading that intro because it's so international and it sounds so authentic. And when we talked about you coming on the show, that was one of the things I was really excited about, was how you bring your authenticity, your ethnicity, your story of origin into your design. So can you tell us a little bit about how you became this authentic designer?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's an absolute pleasure getting to know you. So I grew up in a very small town in the Dominican Republic, and back then I was a very quiet child, but I always had this world of dreams in my head, and I was surrounded by adults. I did not have a lot of kids around me. I had like one friend that was my neighbor, but that was it. So I really didn't get to vocalize a lot of this. You know, I was a very good student. My mom, of course, and my dad, they wanted me to go to school and go to college. And I went to a vocational high school. And against my mom's wishes, I signed up for cosmetology. And she was like, what are you going to do with that? You need to sign up for like a medical assistant if you want to be a doctor. And I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to own a business. And I wanted to be in beauty, fashion, some sort of arts. But I put that aside. I went to school. I graduated, got my master's, met my husband, got married. And then I came to a point in my life where I was still very young, and I was in a sort of comfortable position. I had the support of my husband, and I was able to save a little bit of money. And I thought, you know, why don't I start now taking this time for myself and just studying? So I was fortunate enough to have a little bit of money put aside to kind of educate myself and to take the plunge and to start my business little by little. It started super tiny. It's a small business today, but it started very small, and it's continued to grow at my own pace.
I love that. And I love that. I love that you're on the show and have that story, because I think it's a lot of people's stories that they have a dream as a kid, they have a passion as a kid, and then reality sets in, like what you're supposed to do. But that doesn't ever go away. I don't think that ever goes away.
Right.
So it really thrills me that you have revisited that. So what would you say to other people who are maybe sitting at home watching this, or they're on their computer in their car and they're like, wow, I wish I could do something like that, but I can't because...
Right. So I think that whatever it is that we want to do as a child, that dream, you're absolutely right. There's the reality. I don't come from money. My husband doesn't come from money. So we both needed to go to school and find jobs and afford our life, right? So, but I never could let go of that. And I still have a job in corporate America, which is in healthcare, which I love because that's all I know. But now when I think about my business, you know, the design side, sometimes I think like, oh my God, how could I have gone so long without having this in my life? Because even when things get tough, and I have those moments where I'm like, oh my God, is this even worth it? It's like, it is, because I just don't see myself. I I don't see myself not doing it. And I just know that if I weren't doing that, there would be such a void in my life. So to the people who have those dreams, you know, little by little, just by starting, there's so much information out there. There's so many people willing to talk to us for free. So many mentors out there that want to talk to us. So even if you start just by little by little, by putting 2 hours aside a week or a day or whatever your schedule allows, just kind of fulfilling that dreamer side of yourself until you get to a point where you can maybe invest the money or find investors or things like that. But I just would never tell to someone, you know, you need to focus on reality and just let go of your dream.
Well, and I totally agree. And I think it also, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to launch a full-time creative entrepreneurial business. You could have, it could be a side business.
Exactly.
And, you know, we were talking before about how right now in your life that your side business as a designer helps you in your other business, and your what you do in your corporate work helps you in your design business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my life in corporate America has been in the space of healthcare, and it's been in business development, it's been in sales, it's been more recently in marketing. So very creative, very problem solving related, very people facing. And of course that, and I think those jobs really prepared me because I was such an introvert. I was such a shy child. Being out in the field, selling things, I mean, that prepares you for everything. That's number one. That really builds your character, you know? And so that I took from that to put into my business, and then situations that I come up with in my business, in my dealings with people, both of them, I take from one and give to the other, I take from the other and give back to that one. So for me, thankfully, it's worked, where I can kind of have these 2 passions of mine, where sometimes people have questioned that, especially, I hate to say it, especially when you're a mom and a wife, and then, oh my God, now you have these 2 jobs. How can you love so many things? Well, you know, I can. And so for right now, I don't have a super difficult answer for that. I can. I am very happy doing it. I have an incredible support system because I could not say that I do it alone. But for right now, it's what works. It's my lifestyle.
I read a quote, and I'm not going to be able to say it perfectly, but it was something like, if you're tired all the time, it's not because you don't have enough time or that you're working too hard. It's that you're not being fueled by the right things. And I think that's true. Like if you're loving what you're doing, you could stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and be like, wow, where'd the time go? Not day after day after day, but when you're having fun and you're feeling inspired, you are fueled by that.
Absolutely.
And I also love that you borrow from one and take from the other and help each side of your professional life. And it's part of why I wanted to do this series, because if you're a creative person trying to build a business, you still have to be entrepreneurial.
Absolutely.
You have to know the marketing and the sales and the branding and all of those strategies and the budgets and the money side. And I think this is also really important. If you're in the corporate side, or if you're really good with the business side, you still need the creative side.
Right. Absolutely.
It's like breathing. So tell us a little bit about your designs and how you see them. Tell us, I think we're going to have some pictures in the show. Tell us about your dresses and sort of how you get inspiration, what the vibe is, and all of those things.
Absolutely. So this is great timing. Because I'm finishing up my fall 19 collection, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So my designs are really meant to be, I try really hard to make them investment pieces. So basically what that means is something that is classy, is elegant, and I am wearing a dress that I designed for fall of 15.
Nice.
And it still goes perfectly today.
It's beautiful.
So, and I like making dresses that you can accessorize with a jacket. For the corporate woman, you can dress it up, dress it down if you're going from work to a cocktail party. So there's that. And then there's the more special occasion dresses, mother of the bride, something you can wear to a gala, those types of dresses. In terms of the aesthetic, the silhouettes are actually very simple. I like very clean. I like to kind of accentuate what's already there in terms of a woman's beauty. And really what I strive for And someone said this to me once, and it was the biggest compliment. Someone wore one of my dresses she's a coach and she was doing an event. And she told me, when I put on your dress, I just wasn't worried about how I looked. Like I could go about my day just knowing that I looked great and I felt great because everything fit. And I was like, that is the biggest compliment because that's exactly what I want. I don't want you to walk into a room and be worried about how this fits or if this is in place. I want you to be yourself, and I want you to continue to own the room, not because you're wearing my dress, but because you are meant to own the room. And then the dress is kind of a compliment to that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think it's something that all women can relate to is this in the right place? Is this in the right place? So not to have to think about those things so that you can focus on your job.
Right.
And feel confident and pretty and, all of those things that we want to feel.
Right.
So do you bring any of your heritage into your designs?
Yes. So even though my silhouettes are simple and so on, and I don't get into very super complicated styles, where I do get to go a little crazy is sometimes with the colors and with the types of fabrics and just the combination of colors. So for fall of 19, it's almost funny because there are going to be some bold colors on there, and sometimes it's like, whoa, but as long as you step back and you see kind of a natural transition from piece to piece and it makes sense and it tells a story, it works. But that's kind of where I pull a lot from my childhood. I'm Dominican, we're very colorful. Women love to dress up, to go to the supermarket. So I kind of want to bring that back. I want to make it fun to dress up again.
Yeah, I think dressing up, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good.
Yes.
So it's this self-perpetuating cycle of goodness when you like the way that you look and you feel good about that.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious about your process. When you say that one piece flows from the next, do you have an overall vision for the collection, and how do you get that inspiration from collection to collection?
My process is probably a little different, but the first thing that I do for any collection is I go fabric sourcing. So, and then I build a collection around that. So I go fabric sourcing because then when I see all these fabrics that I love and I get all the swatches in my house, that's my favorite thing to do is to go through fabrics. Then I truly start visualizing, oh my God, this is going to look great with this. This is like I start visualizing a collection. It's not until I put everything on a board. By then, I've been saving pictures or I've been taking notes, kind of creating a mood board.
Yeah.
And usually that mood board goes not with what's trending, which I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say that, but it goes with more what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Am I feeling super happy? Has this been a tough season? Like, what do I want to communicate? I don't just want to create clothes just to create pretty clothes. I want to communicate something.
Yeah.
And so how am I feeling in my life? So when I was going through the fall 2019, and I started doing that at the end of 2018, 2018 was a tough year. And towards the end, I felt very empowered, and I felt very I'm 38 years old. I need to start living my life for what makes me happy. So the name of my collection came from that. And there were changes made to the collection so that it could fit within that theme.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that 2018 was a hard year for a lot of
Everyone
people.
I talk to, they are like, 2018 was the test year. And for me, I'm no exception. I mean, it truly was in a number of ways. So I'm glad it's over, but 2019 has started out great. And so that's kind of, to go back to your question, that's kind of my process. I start with fabrics, and then I put everything on a board to make sure that colors are married to each other, that you're kind of, everything is kind of intertwined, kind of telling a story.
So when you say you source fabrics, and in the intro we said your fabrics come from Europe, do you travel to Europe? Do you travel different places to find these fabrics?
So I work with agencies in New York. So for my brand, almost everything happens in New York. The development happens in New York. I was just there yesterday. The shoots happen in New York, production happens in New York, so I have a hand on everything. And I work with mills in New York, or agencies actually, that have the contacts with these mills in Italy and
nice.
exactly in France. So when I go to them and I go through their collection for each season, I say, okay, I like this, and this. Then they go to their factories and then they send me everything so I can look at everything together.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So how would you talk to somebody about a woman, say a woman is not sure of their style. They want to wear nicer clothes, but they don't know how to create not just to look nice on one day, but to kind of have their brand style. Like you have your collections, but how does a woman develop her own sense of style?
I think that I developed my own sense of style. It has to do with kind of who I am and how I see myself. I love dressing up, and I have my style is like that. I don't like short things. I like things that are a little longer to the knee. I feel that it complements my body type more. But I also love jeans and t-shirt and flip-flops. So I think that, number one, before we get into the question, regardless of what you're wearing, I think that's kind of like your style for me has a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
And I say that because where I come from, where we didn't have a lot of money, the women in my family always carried themselves so beautifully with so little. So it wasn't about how much they were spending.
Yeah.
It was just how they were putting it together.
Yeah.
And they were not afraid to take risks. And they were just happy, just putting on makeup and dressing up and things like that. So I think you first have to ask, what makes you happy and what makes you comfortable. Because sometimes we wear things because it's in and we're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And they may look great on us, but we're not comfortable.
Right.
And so if I wear something and I'm uncomfortable and you think it looks great, I thank you, but I'd much rather be comfortable. So I think that that's what kind of we need to think about. And I think we need to worry less, coming from me, that's funny, but kind of worry less about the imagery on Instagram, on social media, and focus more on like us and what do I want to portray? How do I want to feel when I wear a dress or when I go to this wedding or when I wear a shirt or a blouse?
Yeah, well, and I think it's a combination of getting, like you get your inspiration from sourcing fabrics, but of seeing pictures or seeing a woman that you think looks fabulous and then how that makes you feel like, oh, I think that would make me feel good to wear those clothes, or that resonates with me. Because I think that you're totally right. If someone doesn't feel comfortable in their own skin or what they're wearing, we can sense that.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. So where do you want your designs, like how do you want your business to grow? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be on the cover, someone wearing your designs at the Oscars or in Vogue? And how do you see balancing? You have a family and you're doing another corporate job. And what's the vision for you?
So as far as the brand, what I see is steady growth. I don't foresee a growth of 180%, overnight. This growth, right now, when I started, I was in no stores. I launched, nobody bought a piece. And that was okay. I mean, it sucked at the time, but it was a learning curve for me. So right now we're in about 20 to 25 stores in the US and Canada. And so that's growth that I can manage because I can grow into it. And that's the growth, and I'm perfectly fine with that. My family is very much a part of my business because my business is my lifestyle. And when I'm getting ready for something, my son asks me, are you going to your job or are you going to sell dresses?
As if selling dresses isn't your job.
It's like, buddy, this is a very tough work too. So, but they're very much a part of it, and I want to continue to do that with my kids, especially. I want them to see what hard work can yield. So that's that. And then as far as balancing everything, I have an enormous amount of support. My parents both live here. My dad lives with us. We are blessed with that. I have a husband that is incredibly supportive. And so right now, I'm in a very healthy space. Right now, thank God, I haven't been, I don't feel the need to choose. Healthcare is also very close to my heart because I've lost a number of people to cancer. Like a lot of us, we've all been touched by cancer. And to me, to put work out there that touches patients, it's something, it's my way of also giving back. And so I'm very passionate about that. And I've been working in that space since I was 16.
So is it part of your brand giving back to patients in some way with the fashion?
Yes. So anytime that we do kind of like a trunk show or anything like that, I always try to to give some of those proceeds back.
Oh,
And I
that's
belong
great.
to a pretty large, extensive networks where other people are involved in doing some pretty amazing things with patients, with children with disabilities. And so my way of supporting them as well, it's, indirectly I'm in supporting their cause.
I love that.
So.
I love that. What a wonderful thing. So you're such a great designer. People who hear your story, you have such a great personality, and I'm thinking, wow, I wish I knew more people like you, or knew where to get your designs. How can people find out about designers or new voices in the industry if they don't know? Like, you go to the mall and you see the same things, and you're going through the clothes and you're like, oh, I wish I had something different and interesting. How can people find people?
So, social media is an amazing thing. And it's an amazing thing, but also face-to-face networking.
Yeah.
There are a number of groups in let's say, in the Boston area.
Yeah.
Not only for design, but for entrepreneur moms, for entrepreneur women. And those referrals and just getting to know what other people do, where they get their creative juices flowing. And that, for me, has been amazing. And I think you and I were discussing earlier one of the platforms that we both belong to.
Yeah.
And the number of people that I have met there
Yeah.
that have introduced me to other people like
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
that have yielded in long-lasting networks and relationships, and the
Yeah.
ability to help each other out is amazing. And I don't think you quite get that from social media.
Yeah.
At the same time, on social media, me personally, for example, I tend to follow a lot of hashtags of like women empowerment or women designers or independent designers. And so anytime things pop up, I see these wonderful things on my feed that I wouldn't normally see because I couldn't possibly, spend 24 hours on Instagram. So there's different creative ways for you to align yourself with what it is that you want to learn and see more of.
Yeah. And if somebody wanted to have one of your dresses made, do you do custom orders, or do they need to go to one of the stores where you are placed for your products?
So on my website, lallabee.com, there is a list of stores where we are located.
Okay.
And there's 2 stores in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And so
is one in Boston?
Yeah, there's one in Andover.
Okay.
And there's one in Swampscott.
Okay.
And so there's also a limited number of items available on my website.
Okay.
However, I have started since last year doing dabbling in some custom designs. And so I've done a few of those. They've gone really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that there's a consultation in place. It's very formal, just to make sure that whatever the needs are, I'm able to meet.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
So I was wondering about that process. Like, if I had an event that I was going to, what it would be like. I'd say I have a red carpet event to go to, and then we would consult over color, or is it that you kind of have the vision, and how much collaboration is involved?
As much as the client allows, and as much as the client wants, because some people have come to me and they know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And great, but then sometimes they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And I ask them for pictures of past events so I can see kind of what they've worn before, their style, what they feel comfortable with. Yeah. And then anything they can provide, are there any colors that you're not gonna wear?
Yeah.
Are there any silhouettes that you don't feel comfortable in? And then I would submit, for clients like this, I would submit a sketch, and then once they approve, then we start measuring, we start talking about fabrics, they can touch it, see the swatches, and so on and so forth.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. I would love to do that. I'd love to do that. So as we're sort of wrapping up, one of the things that I was wondering, you've done a great job of building your brand. What do you think has been most helpful for you to sort of identify what your brand is, help other people understand what you're all about? What do you think has been most powerful for you around that?
Failure.
Oh.
I am going to be very honest.
Yeah.
So from when I launched to where I am today, a number of things had to happen, because I don't have all the experience in the world, and at the beginning, I thought I was selling to everyone. So a lot of things had to happen for me to take a step back and, number one, define exactly who my customer is.
Okay.
And create messaging that is important to that person so that we can connect on an emotional level, because we are creating a relationship. I want my customers to know me and to know about I want them to know me. I don't want them to just know my label.
Right.
And I want to know the woman that buys from me.
Yeah.
So that, to me, not taking failure as a failure, but taking them learning, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, and it's feedback.
As feedback,
Yeah.
and asking. Every time I do a fashion show, I ask the person in charge, what could I have done better? What did not work here?
Yeah.
What do you suggest for the next time?
That's awesome.
That has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So do you have a sense like who your ideal woman is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So that's the name of my collection, actually, of fall. So my ideal woman is a woman that is, she has a name. Her name is Lola.
Lola.
And
Was she a showgirl with yellow feathers in her
Lola,
hair?
Lola is a woman that is a professional woman. She's a go-getter. Maybe she's a mom. Maybe she's not. But whomever she has in her life, she's very close to and she gives herself to.
Yeah.
And regardless of how busy she is, she makes time for her girlfriends. She realizes what are those important things in life. And I like the name Lola because to me, it's a little bit rebellious. And I think that we need to be more comfortable, and I'm talking to myself as I say this.
Yeah.
I need to be more comfortable in just being who I am. Like life is short.
Yeah.
I want to be happy. I want to laugh, and that may piss some people off in the process. Then maybe it's meant to be.
Well, that's how you build a powerful brand, is you know yourself and you care more about your voice than any of the other voices.
So that's my Lola.
I love it. I love it. And I've loved having you on. So if people want to find out more about you, where can they find you? What's your website? What are you on social? How can they find you on social media?
So my website is lallabee.com.
And we'll put that in the show notes too.
And my Instagram, and I spend way too much time on there, according to my
I know
husband.
it's addictive.
It is addictive, and I like to respond to things. So I like when people send me messages. I like to build that connection.
Yeah,
I hate when I send a message to someone saying, "Oh, your work," and I don't get a response back, and it's like I just like to click with people. So my Instagram is at lalla.bee. So at LALLA.BE.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
and
for having me.
I loved having you on, and I just want to really acknowledge and encourage you to keep being artistic and having that entrepreneurial drive. It's such a great example for people, for women, I think, especially to know that they can be more than one thing. They can be a working woman, they can be an entrepreneurial woman, they can be a creative woman, they can be a mom, they can choose what they want to do and how they want to spend their time, and they don't need anybody's permission to do that.
That is correct.
Yeah, and you have done that beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for joining us as well. And as always, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye.